A lot of people trying to figure out all the, I have what it means to me in my life, trying to talk about what being a woman is like or all that stuff.
In the world of hip-hop, few names shine as brightly, or burn out as tragically, as Mac Miller. Born Malcolm James McCormick, he wasn't just a rapper. He was a cultural force, an innovator, and a soul whose music echoed his deepest truths. But behind the talent lay a life of success, struggle, luxury, and legacy. This is the story of a kid from Pittsburgh who became one of the most innovative voices in hip-hop. A rapper who went from local open mic nights to topping the Billboard charts as an independent artist. Something nobody had done since 1995. A young star who made millions, lived in luxury, battled demons, loved deeply, created constantly, and died far too soon. This is the deep dive story of Mac Miller, the talent, the lifestyle, the net worth, the battles, and the legacy left behind. Mac Miller was born on January 19, 1992, in Pittsburgh's Point Breeze neighborhood, an upper-middle-class area shaped by arts, academics, and opportunity. His mother was a photographer, his father an architect. Creativity ran in his DNA. From an early age, Mac was obsessed with music. He learned piano, guitar, bass, and drums by age 6. Most kids are still figuring out crayons. Mac was already figuring out chords. By 14, he started rapping. By 15, he dropped his first mixtape, But My Mackin' Ain't Easy, under the name Easy Mac. And by high school, he wasn't just another kid. He was a local phenomenon, performing at open mics, selling out small venues, networking through Pittsburgh's rising rap ecosystem. The same scene that birthed Wiz Khalifa. He had drive, hunger, and a plan. By 2010, at just 18 years old, Mac Miller signed with Rostrum Records, the hometown indie label already known for launching Wiz Khalifa's career. This deal changed everything. That same year, he released KIDS, Kickin' Incredibly Dope Shot, the mixtape that blew him up. Smooth, jazzy beats, feel-good vibes, nostalgic energy, KIDS became the soundtrack of a generation. Tracks like Nikes on My Feet and Kool-Aid and Frozen Pizza became instant classics. Mac wasn't just gaining fans, he was creating a movement, a fan base that would stick with him for life. Then came the moment that rewrote industry rules. In 2011, Mac Miller dropped his debut album, Blue Slide Park. It debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, making him the first independently distributed artist to hit that spot since 1995. Think about that. No major label, no corporate machine, just Mac, his fans, and a ridiculous work ethic. This wasn't luck. This was strategy, charisma, talent, and relentless self-promotion. He toured constantly, built genuine relationships with fans, and cultivated a brand around authenticity. Blue Slide Park didn't just break records, it made Mac a millionaire. Now, let's get into the part everyone wants to know. The money, the mansions, the cars, and the lifestyle. At the time of his death in 2018, Mac Miller's net worth was estimated between $9 million and $11.3 million, depending on the estate valuation. His assets included nearly $5 million in master recordings, over $1.5 million in publishing royalties, around $5 million in bank and brokerage accounts, jewelry, instruments, electronics, and collectibles worth hundreds of thousands. Mac was wealthy, but not flashy. He spent money, but he spent it his way. Real estate. In the heart of Studio City, tucked at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac, stands a house that once held more than furniture, music equipment, and late-night studio sessions. It held Mac Miller, a sanctuary, a hideaway, a creative universe. This home wasn't just where he lived, it was where he dreamed, experimented, laughed, loved, and created some of the music that defined a generation. And today, we step inside that space, the place where art, energy, and tragedy intertwined. Mac Miller's home sat on 11,659 Valley Crest Road, nestled deep in a private, peaceful corner of Studio City, California. A 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 3,156 square foot residence, built in 1973, it perfectly matched Mac's need for privacy and creative freedom. This wasn't a loud Hollywood party mansion. It was quiet, secluded, wrapped in trees, and tucked at the very end of a cul-de-sac, the perfect retreat for an artist who spent so much time inside his head. And despite its relaxed atmosphere, the home carried a quiet luxury, a warm interior, spacious rooms, and the kind of energy that inspires. From the outside, the house didn't scream celebrity glamour. No giant gates, no gold accents, just a clean, modern California residence with a gentle slope leading to the entrance. According to real estate data, the home carried an estimated value of $2.5 million and rented between $8,000 and $10,000 per month. High-end, but not flashy. That was Mac. Luxury in his own language, quiet confidence, comfort over spectacle. Inside the house, the energy shifted. This is where Mac lived his life and his art. Though much wasn't publicly photographed, fans and visitors described the home as warm, creative, and deeply personal. One visitor noted the contrast between his earlier, louder party spot and this more secluded, peaceful home with a beautiful view in a little end street. The main rooms were open and airy, with natural light pouring in. This was Mac's vibe: simplicity, comfort, and inspiration. Walls likely held artwork, memorabilia, and personal touches reflecting his transition from youthful stardom to introspective artistry. 4 bedrooms meant space for friends, collaborators, and loved ones. But one room mattered most. This was Mac's personal sanctuary. The room where he woke up with melodies in his head, and the room where he unwound after long nights producing beats. Tragically, it was also the room where he was found unresponsive on September 7, 2018. His assistant discovered him late that morning. Paramedics arrived within minutes, but it was too late. The coroner later confirmed Mac had passed from an accidental overdose of cocaine, fentanyl, and alcohol. A room that once held creation, laughter, and light became a symbol of heartbreak. But this home wasn't only marked by tragedy, it was a creative playground. Though Mac's MTV2 show, Mac Miller and the Most Dope Family, was filmed at another location he previously rented in Studio City, this house still served as a creative hub, where music sessions, collaborations, and inspiration flowed constantly. Fans described it as a place that reflected Malcolm energy: calm, thoughtful, soulful. Imagine late nights with friends, beats echoing through hallways, laughter mixing with lyrics, and the glow of studio lights bouncing off walls covered in art and instruments. Outdoors, the home offered peace and California sunshine, a backyard built for barbecues, quiet reflection, and low-key gatherings. A space to breathe, something Mac often needed in the chaos of fame. Another house he lived in later featured panoramic canyon views and a private courtyard, a similar energy to this location. That atmosphere of privacy and openness matched the emotional tone of his later albums. This wasn't a mansion meant for showing off. This was a sanctuary meant for living. After Mac's passing, fans began to visit the street, not to intrude, but to pay respects. For many, walking by the house brought them closer to the artist who helped them through their darkest days. On fan forums, people shared emotional stories of their visits: the quiet street, the stillness of the home, the feeling of being near something sacred. This wasn't morbid curiosity, it was love. Mac's music meant healing, and his house, even from the outside, became a place where fans could finally say thank you. Mac's Studio City home became a central piece of his legacy because it represented everything he was becoming. This home held the atmosphere that shaped Swimming, one of the most emotionally powerful albums of his life. It was the place where genius and vulnerability lived side by side, 2 months after Mac's death, another Studio City home he once rented between 2011 and 2014, the one seen in most Dope Family, went on the market for $3.8 million because of its connection to his legacy. Both houses remain touchstones for fans worldwide, representing different chapters of Mac's story: the wild, youthful early days and the quieter, deeper, more contemplative final years. Mac Miller's Studio City sanctuary wasn't just a house, it was a vessel, holding pieces of his spirit, his growth, and his art. A place where beats were born, where friends gathered, where his heart healed, and where his story, tragically, came to an end. And though Mac is gone, his sanctuary remains, whispering his legacy into the warm California air. Mac Miller wasn't just a visionary musician, he was a man of taste. A man whose creativity didn't stop at beats and lyrics, but stretched all the way into the garage. His car collection wasn't huge, it wasn't loud, it was personal. Every car he owned told a story of growth, style, success, rebellion, and evolution. First up, the star of Mac's fleet, the BMW i8, a hybrid supercar that looked like it drove straight out of the future. Mac wasn't just seen driving the i8, he featured it, he referenced it in his track Jet Fuel, and was photographed perched casually on the sleek silver machine. Red hoodie, gray pants, effortless swagger. With scissor doors, aerodynamic lines, and a hybrid powertrain pushing 357 horsepower, the i8 perfectly embodied Mac's vibe: futuristic, bold, and smooth. It wasn't just transportation, it was a statement. Estimated value? Around $140,000. The car fit him like a lyric fits a beat, clean, stylish, and ahead of its time. Next, we shift gears into something rare, something exclusive, something designed specifically for him. The 2012 Fisker Karma EcoSport wasn't a car Mac bought. It was a custom gift, awarded to him by Complex magazine when he won the Man of Next Year competition. One of just 1,600 sold in the entire US. This thing was a rolling piece of art. 403 horsepower, a sleek, eco-friendly hybrid engine, custom 22-inch aftermarket wheels, a tuxedo-inspired black exterior, and a luxurious black leather interior styled by Mark Echo. It was a showstopper, so special that when it appeared at Barrett-Jackson Las Vegas in 2021, it sold for $150,000. Mac's Karma wasn't just a car. It was a symbol of his rising stardom and proof that the industry saw him as something extraordinary. Of course, no hip-hop legend's garage would be complete without a powerhouse. For Mac Miller, that beast was the Mercedes-AMG G63, better known simply as the G-Wagon. This wasn't just a status symbol, it was Mac's everyday ride, a rugged, luxurious tank of a vehicle that matched his evolving lifestyle. But the G-Wagon also made headlines for the wrong reason. Mac once crashed it while intoxicated, a moment that brought media attention and personal reflection. Luckily, no one was hurt. Still, the G-Wagon remained iconic, a vehicle that symbolized the tension between fame, pressure, and personal struggles. Estimated value? Around $250,000 for his 2016 model. Now for something flashy, nostalgic, and unbelievably Mac Miller. The 1964 Cadillac Eldorado, a timeless classic, was one of the most visually striking cars he ever owned. Customized in candy apple green with matching rims, this Eldorado was pure craft, dripping with charm and swagger. This wasn't your standard old-school car. This was magazine cover material, literally. Mac and the Eldorado were featured in Dub magazine, cementing it as one of the crown jewels of his collection. Under the hood, the standard model carried a massive 429 cubic inch V8 engine with 340 horsepower, though Mac's configuration wasn't fully documented. Inside, it had the comforts of the era: power steering, electric brakes, and smooth retro aesthetics. It wasn't luxurious because it was expensive. It was luxurious because it was Mac's personality on wheels. Long before the supercars and hybrids came into play, Mac drove what most rising artists drive, whatever he could get his hands on. Fans recall him riding in a maroon BMW 5 Series, which he famously let his friends drive around, a Honda Civic, seen in the Nikes on My Feet video, a Mercedes E-Class mentioned by fans from his most dope family era, even a PT Cruiser joked about by fans recalling his earlier years. And like any young artist finding his way, he had cars that struggled to start, and cars that weren't pretty, but they all helped carry him toward greatness. As Mac once reflected, he eventually realized he didn't need a garage full of cars, just a few he genuinely loved. Mac Miller didn't just leave behind songs, he left stories, some written in melodies, and some written on the open road. Jewelry collection. While Mac didn't flaunt cars, he did enjoy classy jewelry and meaningful luxury items. His jewelry told a different story, one of subtle elegance, quiet confidence, and a kind of shine that reflected who he was on the inside as much as the outside. During his life, and even after his passing, the contents of his jewelry collection revealed a man who understood the fine line between luxury and meaning. According to estate records, Mac owned pieces that were as thoughtful as his lyrics. His most striking treasures were his Rolex watches, an 18-karat yellow gold Rolex with a presidential bracelet valued at over $31,000, and a vintage 1989 Rolex worth more than $20,000. These weren't watches purchased for attention. They were milestones, symbols of success earned through years of creative work and personal evolution. They sat on his wrist like golden timestamps, marking chapters in his life. But the shine didn't stop there. Mac also kept pieces that blended sophistication with soul. Estate records described bracelets of 18-karat gold adorned with brilliant diamonds, necklaces carved from luxury, and diamond-studded pieces that sparkled without screaming. He owned an 18-karat gold necklace valued at about $12,000, a diamond-encrusted 14-karat necklace worth $14,000, and a pair of diamond stud earrings that glimmered at just over $9,300. Even his simpler 14-karat gold chains reflected intention. They were chosen, not collected. These were not generic trophies of fame. They were memories. They were choices. They were art. Mac wore jewelry the way he made music, with purpose, sensitivity, and a personal touch that separated him from the noise of the industry. His pieces didn't need to be oversized or icy to carry weight. They carried emotion. One of the most powerful parts of his jewelry story came after his passing. In his will, Mac made sure that certain pieces would be passed not to strangers, not auctioned away, but placed directly into the hands of people he loved. His close friend, Q. Chandler Cuff, was left his extensive collection of silver jewelry, items valued in the tens of thousands, and chosen specifically for someone who had walked beside him through key moments of his life. Other cherished items, clothing, electronics, personal accessories, went to other dear friends, each piece carrying a fragment of his heart. These gifts weren't about wealth, they were about connection. His jewelry told the story of a man who grew from a hungry teenager with dreams into a global artist who wore his success with humility. Early in his career, his pieces were playful and modest. As he matured, his collection evolved with him. More refined, more intentional, but still unmistakably Mac, the same kid from Pittsburgh, now shining in gold and diamonds, but never losing the softness beneath the sparkle. Mac Miller's jewelry wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. It was beautiful, personal, understated, and real, just like him. In every gold link, every diamond glint, every timepiece he strapped on, he carried a part of his story. And long after he's gone, those pieces carry it still. The shine of an artist who moved through the world with creativity, honesty, and a gentle glow all his own personal life. Behind the fame, Mac fought battles. He struggled with substance abuse and depression openly, honestly, using music to process it. In 2013, he spoke about becoming addicted to promethazine and using lean heavily during dark moments. He said he felt lost, and his friends didn't recognize him. His relationship with Ariana Grande was loving, supportive, and highly publicized. Their chemistry shaped songs, moments, and memories. But it also came with immense pressure. Through everything, Mac remained committed to growth, therapy, and self-reflection. In 2018, Mac released Swimming, an album about resilience, healing, and navigating heartbreak. It became his most critically acclaimed work and earned a Grammy nomination for Best Rap Album. Tragically, just 1 month later, he died of an accidental overdose of fentanyl, cocaine, and alcohol on September 7, 2018. He was only 26 years old. A traditional Jewish funeral was held for Miller, and he was buried at Homewood Cemetery in his hometown of Pittsburgh. On November 5, 2018, the Los Angeles County Coroner's Office determined that Miller died from an accidental drug overdose due to a mixed drug toxicity of fentanyl, cocaine, and alcohol, and his dealer was later charged. 3 men were arrested in September 2019 during an investigation into Miller's death. Cameron James Pettit allegedly sold Miller counterfeit oxycodone pills containing fentanyl 2 days before his death, which were run to Pettit by Ryan Rivas and supplied by Stephen Walter. Miller had asked Pettit for Percocet, a prescribed painkiller containing oxycodone, in addition to cocaine and Xanax. Investigators believe Miller snorted the laced pills before his death. The 3 men were indicted on charges of conspiracy and distribution of drugs resulting in death. On April 18, 2022, Rivas was sentenced to 10 years in prison for his role in distributing the pills. On May 17, 2022, Walter was sentenced to 17.5 years in prison for his role. Pettit served an unknown sentence and was released from prison on October 11, 2024. Mac Miller's impact didn't end in 2018. His work has become a guidebook for emotional honesty in hip-hop. Artists cite him as an inspiration. Fans revisit his catalog for comfort, healing, nostalgia. Posthumous releases like Circles and Balloonerism continue the story of an artist who grew more profound with every project. Through every mansion hallway, every engine roar, every glint of gold, there was always something deeper. A young man searching for peace, expression, and connection. Mac wasn't defined by the things he owned, but by the meaning he poured into them. The same meaning he poured into his music, his friendships, and the moments he left behind for all of us. If this story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you why Mac Miller continues to touch hearts long after he's gone, make sure to like this video, drop a comment, and share your own connection to his legacy. And if you want more deep dive documentaries, stories behind the icons, and explorations into the lives of the artists who shaped a generation, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We've got so much more coming your way. Thank you for watching, for remembering, and for keeping his spirit alive. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and as Mac would say, stay most dope.